The crew worldwide, from Cali to Twitter, real hardcore fans, boxing ass niggas, consistency cops, police the views, we'll pull up receipts for any debate you choose. Shout outs to Clan Archie for the dope production. Ring Gang stay with the best discussions. Ring Gang Radio.
We're gonna switch gears a little bit as we do on occasion. As you know, in the news today, we lost a titan, a pioneer, in the world of, in the comic book world and entertainment world. Of course, we are talking about the late great Stan Lee, superhero of Marvel Comics. Of course, and if you've grown up reading comic books, I mean, my first exposure to comics were just in the newspaper, because they used to have the Spider-Man comics in the newspaper, and from Spider-Man when I was a kid, I got introduced to all the characters in there. So that's like my first introduction to Stan Lee. And then, as the 90s progressed, there are a couple of events. My boy James, rest in peace, back in elementary school, used to have the X-Men cards. Like, he collected them shits.
Word.
And he was hardcore with it, man. Like the ones that that turned into like like they were like puzzles and everything like that.
Holograms. I remember them shits.
Yeah, and I used to love reading the backs of them shits too, because the backstories were so fascinating. And then also later on, I remember I bought a book. It wasn't a comic book; it was more like X-Men biography. And then of course the TV shows in the 90s, the X-Men one on X-Men and Spider-Man on Fox.
Yeah.
Those were modern day classics. So, but the comics themselves, but in where they succeeded in the cartoon world, they didn't really succeed live action wise, with the exception of maybe Incredible Hulk. But that's like until 1998, where they had their first real classic in Blade with Wesley Snipes. And then a couple years later after that, we got X-Men, mixed how I feel about how I have about the X-Men movies. And then, we have the Fantastic Four movies and
trash.
Those were actually guilty pleasures for me. I don't know why I like those movies so much, but I did. Whereas I did not like I didn't like the first X-Men. X-Men 2 though was straight up fire, for real.
Yeah, X-Men 2 is like that. That's one of the top 10 comic movies for me. Like, especially that whole Nightcrawler intro. Like,
yeah, and it's the only fucking X-Men movie that actually has a mention of Gambit. Oh, fucking, but Gambit never made an official appearance yet. We're still waiting for that. But just like you got to see, and then one of the big things with these movies is you see Stan Lee, and Stan Lee making his cameos.
Yep.
Yeah, and at first it was just like, oh yeah, Stan Lee, was just making regular ass cameos. But then after that, he started getting, as the MCU got formed, and starting with Iron Man 2008, and
you came to expect it. It was like, it was fun, and it was like people who weren't even really comic book heads, or it's like is this Stan Lee? Like, that's the guy. Like,
yeah, exactly. And he found new life in this generation. It's like, oh yeah, he's the guy that does all the funny cameos, whether he's a ladies' man, or he's a delivery man, or he's just or he's reading a book, or he's a strip club DJ, or he's a World War II veteran, or well, actually he was a veteran anyways. It's just like they were just simple, random, and fun cameos. And it's just like you have to, as the MCU progressed, it's like, oh, this is great. He's gonna have cameos forever. Even though we all knew that time waits Father Time, is undefeated, and he staved off. He staved off Father Time longer than I expected him to stave off.
Real talk, because it feel like Stan Lee just been around forever. Like me, I know as an artist, like Stan Lee, I know about Stan Lee since I was like real young. Like my pops had comic books. He got me into that shit. He had X-Men, fucking Daredevil. He had Luke Cage and he had Power Man and what's the other nigga? Iron Fist. So, you know, you would see like the little advertisements and shit with Stan Lee inside them.
Yeah.
It's like I always knew who Stan Lee was, and you know, in middle school and middle school and elementary, you know, you coming to school with comics and niggas just, you know what I'm saying, seeing what's good. And back then you thinking about, damn, I can't wait for these niggas to make movies of this shit. And later on they start making movies and just Stan Lee getting cameos. It's just like, I felt like art and comics and just in general, just, you know, we lost like a great godfather for art and just comics in general. You know,
yeah,
and Stan Lee, like that shit's real, man.
Yeah, it's just like too, you brought that, like I myself, like as a kid, I mean I was an artist too. Like, and one of the first things that made me want to draw was comic books. It was just like, you know, especially with X-Men. When X-Men came on TV as a cartoon, that shit was a wrap. Man, let's put this way.
Real. That was one of the most anticipated cartoons. Like, yo, like real talk, man. Like, y'all, if you're not old enough to appreciate X-Men, man, y'all gotta go back and check that out. Like, that show was the truth. Like, and it still aged good, man. Like, I can watch that shit now. Like, especially the first fucking season.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because, like I said, watching that, you know, that made me pick up the pen too. Like, I drew my own cartoon characters. Like, I think the cartoon character I drew was Cheetah, who had a similar origin with Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was just like, because Wolverine is my favorite X-Men.
Yo, word. Yo, I didn't even know that, because he's mine as well, dog. Like,
yeah,
real talk. Like, Wolverine is like my number one, man.
Yeah, and I related to it. So I was like, I remember I just like, I wouldn't say I plagiarized, but a lot of my comic book characters were similar of the nature to the X-Men, like that created. Cheetah was the one that I really like, you know. So I remember too, if only, you know, my mom was the type to actually keep, like, you know, keep old drawings and stuff like that one, because they were pretty. I consider myself, they were pretty good, you know, for a cat. I was like in 4th or 5th grade drawing this shit, but you know, unfortunately the art bug in me died out because I had a bad art teacher in middle school. So, you know, he kind of killed my artistic side in the town. I never really drew anything again, you know. So it was just like, you know, I found other outlets to be creative.
That shit, cause no lie, like a lot of art teachers around the time when comics were real popular, and everybody like drawing that shit. A lot of teachers really rebelled against that shit. Like, they wanted you to draw the whole traditional way of drawing faces and the anatomy, and so I could understand that.
And fucking fruit, yes.
Yeah, it was a lot of boring shit, and you know, at the time, because, you know, I went to like a performing arts middle school. At the time, I understood why we had to do it. But I ain't really fuck with this shit like that. I'm like, I did it looked good. I still got the old pictures, but I mean, nigga, we used to, like, the class was 2 hours. We'll try to do the assignment as fast as we can. So when you're done, you could take out that fucking X-Men comic book. I mean, that fucking X-Force, X-Factor, whatever. Because let me just keep it real. X-Men was popping in the 90s. Like, all y'all Avenger niggas, like, the movies made that shit hot. Like, it was X-Men, Spider-Man. You know, we just keeping it to Marvel. It was X-Men, Spider-Man, fucking Wolverine.
Yep.
I'll give you some Iron Man. I'll give you some Iron Man. Fantastic Four. I'll give you Fantastic Four.
And then Daredevil too.
Daredevil always been like that underdog, but that people fuck with. Like even Punisher, I fuck with Punisher too. Like
yep.
So, but as far as like all the Thors and fucking, you know, even Black Panther, like Black Widow, all these Hawkeye niggas, all these, you know, even Iron Man to a certain extent, like all that shit got popular like in the last 10 years.
Exactly.
And that just shows you the growth. Like, you know, Stan Lee was a part of something that just transcended generations and just races and
I mean,
realities, countries, everything. Like everybody fuck with his shit now.
Yeah, I mean, it just the fact. I mean, just the universe that he created. I mean, it's crazy figure, and he lived long enough to actually see it come to fruition. Like it's crazy. Like
and see it come to fruition on a grand scale. Like sometimes people get to see something get big, and we're like, okay, yeah. I mean, he did get to see them make a movie, but then you're like, yeah, but he only got to see them make one movie out of 15 books he wrote.
Yeah,
like Stan Lee was a part, and he saw like countless movies. Like a good example of someone who didn't see everything to the top level. What's his name? He's the creator of Conan and Solomon Kane. And you know, if you fuck with Marvel, you know Conan was was printed up by Marvel as well. But
yeah,
I think
you talking about Jack Kirby?
No. Robert E. Howard, the creator of Conan and Solomon Kane, and he was a guy who died early. He didn't get to see his best work reach that mainstream success and all that. Because remember, you know, Conan, Marvel, and all that shit was popping off in the 80s and shit.
Right, yeah.
You know, so he's one of the, and it's unfortunate because that man, Robert E. Howard, was real talented, but, you know, Stan Lee took it to another level. He got to see a lot of his shit, his whole fucking universe. Yeah,
I mean, he even played a character he created in what was it, Willie Lumpkin? You know, in one of the Fantastic Four movies. I mean, that's his. You know, I mean, that's
inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I mean, dude was such an inspiration. Like creativity. Like he made comic books cool. Like, you know, most people like to think that comic books are lowbrow entertainment.
Right.
Marvel comics are anything but. If anything, Marvel comics help increase my vocabulary because there was some shit in there, especially if you read an Apocalypse comic. What?
Oh my God! Age of Apocalypse. Oh, bro, yo, I feel you, man. Damn, you taking it back, man. Like,
yeah,
like we some old school niggas.
Yeah, no, Apocalypse.
Okay, Dr. Doom.
Yeah, Dr. Doom. Man, I mean, there was a whole, like, of course, Thanos. We all know. You know, it's just like. Yeah.
I never could have managed imagine that we would see an Infinity Gauntlet movie, an Infinity Wars movie. Like I was like in elementary, like 5th grade, when the comic was popping. You know that whole story arc.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely insane just how, you know. Yeah, that's why for all these movies, even before the MCU got created, you know, it was just like I used to see them like if it was not open at night, it was definitely the first weekend at the latest, you know, at the latest. Yeah, so and then of course
Blade, oh man, and Blade, like you said, Blade really was the start of that shit, like.
Yeah,
like where, you know, Marvel started getting respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because, you know, Wesley doesn't get the respect he reserves for jumpstarting the comic book genre movie. You know, because Blade and Blade 2 is hard. Yes. And rated R. You know what I'm saying?
With vampires, yeah. And I mean, something that we've seen done before, and he made it dope. Like, you know, so shout outs to, you know, Wesley Snipes, man, you know, a legend, you know what I mean? And just Stan Lee, like, man, we missed you, dog. Like, real shit, man. Like, you made a world for us to live in, and seeing how comics used to be, like you say, like looked down upon, you know, back in the 90s and shit, to certain people, and now everybody fuck with it.
Yeah, you know, and you know, so it's, yeah, I mean, it's like,
thank you, Stan Lee.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be weird, man, because like I said, I mean, Stan Lee, you know, up until he died was was working, man. Like, yeah. I mean, next year is possibly, I mean, as we all know, is possibly the last year of Stan Lee cameos. I believe, I mean, it's been confirmed that he did a cameo for Captain Marvel, which comes out, I think, in March 2019 or April 2019, and then the final Avengers movie, which could possibly be a swan song, and it would only be fitting that the final, if right, the final confirmed Stan Lee cameo is in the final Avengers, because as
biggest movie.
Yeah, you know, and if you follow the comic book movies and actors, you know that it's probably it's the end of the line for a lot of the actors in that shit too. You know,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, and then of course I think the non-MCU cameos. I mean, it's possible. It's confirmed that he didn't film for the X-Men Phoenix movie, which is got pushed back, and he may have filmed one for New Mutants, which was originally pushed back, but there were reshoots. And it's possible that he may have a cameo in that. I don't know if it's going to be released in 2019 or in 2020. You know, and then of course he has them in the other stuff like the Ralph Rex the Internet, and then another Spider-Man animated movie. And I think those are the final cameos, unless of course, you know, he did more than that, and then he didn't, you know, and then, you know, we see him in 2022 or 2021 and beyond, which would be incredible.
Yeah. Nah, they're gonna have a hologram popping off then, man.
Yeah, and which would be incredible, which would be crazy too. If I see a hologram Stan Lee doing a cameo in a MCU movie.
Yeah, like, yeah, that shit. Like, I don't know how I would feel about that, but you know, I almost would just feel like it. I almost feel like, damn, like that would be the next wave for him. Like, to keep the legend. Like, he deserve it. Like,
yeah, he does, man. Like Stan Lee, you know, led a life like he knew how to live. I mean, 95 years, he's seen, experienced a whole lot.
When you're doing what you love, bro, like, that play a big factor, bro. And you know, your happiness and just living long, man.
Yeah, and the comic book kept him young. You know, young at heart, young in the mind. You know, so yeah, it's it's a loss. You know, it's a huge loss. Especially, you know, just how comic movies will look going forward. You know, we gotta start preparing. You know, after 2019, you know, preparing with Life Without Stan Lee. Officially, yeah. You know, it's gonna suck. But
you know what? You know, everything. You know, we all knew this time was gonna come, and like you said, it felt like, damn, like Stan Lee, you know, he'll keep living, and you know, just keep living. Like, it always just felt like Stan Lee was gonna be there. And now, I guess the way the universe works, it's time for someone else to be the next Stan Lee or the next themselves.
Exactly.
To that level, you know, because you can't, you know, there's only gonna be one Stan Lee. You know what I mean? So no one, you know, we don't want another Stan Lee, you know. But if someone could create a vision as big as Stan Lee's or even greater, then I welcome it. And you know, I think the world may be a better place for that shit. I know the world a better place because Stan Lee was here. Real shit.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. And then of course, you know, as always, you know, Stan Lee would end anything that he did with one phrase. Excelsior. Excelsior, Stan Lee. Excelsior. So yeah, that's our podcast for tonight. LB, do you have any final thoughts?
Excelsior. Well, but nah, man, it was an honor to speak about Stan Lee and the whole PBC rollout. I want to see more of everything. It's gonna have a different meaning when you go to the theater and you see a Marvel movie now.
Yeah, man, and I bet you anything, because like I said, Captain Marvel is gonna be the first up to Ralph Rex to Internet and Captain Marvel, I think, are like the first up to bat ones. And I bet you anything, the Captain Marvel, I'm pretty sure there's either gonna be quiet or they're gonna clap, and it's gonna be messed up though when you see In Memory of Stan Lee at the end of the credits. It's gonna be like, damn, he's gone. And don't let Avengers 4 be epic. And it's, I mean, granted, if you read the comic books, you have an idea of how it's going to end, but just, I guess, just seeing it on screen and then seeing what will possibly maybe Stan Lee's final cameo, it might be a little somber in there. For real. So it was also an honor to talk about Stan Lee, as I enjoyed his work. I spent a lot of my money as an adult on his works. His comics built up my vocabulary, gave me some nice words to use, even as an adult. And we will miss him. And then as far as the PBC rollout, they're doing what they need to do, and we just hope that this is just an initial stage for them to do for better fights. So I don't feel the need to stop, to keep bashing PBC over and over again, because it gets tiring. But I also get tired of pointing out their particular weaknesses that they haven't corrected. So,
but if everybody kept it real like we do, it wouldn't sound like we bashing, because then everybody would be real with it, and they would recognize the good thing that PBC is doing, and then they recognize the so need improvement shit that PBC is doing. So.
Exactly
what it is. I mean, that's why we keep it real on Ring Game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said. I mean, that's why I said it's real talk, because if shit's real, we talk about it. Like I said, I mean, ain't shit changed, man. That's how we do. So for myself, Patscorpio, the New England representative, for the GOAT artist Shutterworth Da Gawd, LB, and until next week, we want to make sure we wish you guys, if you celebrate it, a happy Thanksgiving, or happy if you don't like the definition of Thanksgiving, and most people don't, especially if you're woke, you like Happy Turkey Day.
Happy, relax, chill. I mean, enjoy your family if you got family, or enjoy your own company if you just solo. I mean, like.
Yeah,
and be thankful.
Yeah, because be thankful for your blessings. Be thankful for the food, for the turkey, for the stuffing, for the sweet potatoes, for the string beans, for the jollof rice, for the gizzards, for the mai. I'm sorry, I'm rattling off the menu at my house.
You get hungry now, bro. Hold on.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I may, if I keep talking, I may have to go get in my car and go down the street, grab something to eat real quick, man. I'm trying not to eat late anymore. You know what I'm saying? But at my parents' house, because my mom throws down. So yeah, man, the food's gonna be on point, and then Hennessy is gonna be there, because people like one of my nicknames is Henny Pat. So they like to, because I do like my Hennessy. I like it when I'm eating pie, apple pie, sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie. Oh my, it's pie. You know what I'm saying? So so yeah, man. And of course the football games. My Eagles are not playing in Thanksgiving, thank goodness, because when that happens, the last time they did, damn near took all the flavor out of my shit, because they lost so badly. Football games, and of course Black Friday sales. See, I don't do all that online shit no more. You know what I'm saying? I mean, though, going outside at midnight, I'll say no. I have a credit card now. I go online, and luckily where I work, I have a special marketplace to get my my deals securely and safely.
Real talk, man.
Yeah, that's
Fuck all these fighting niggas for toasters and PlayStations and shit, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. Who needs a? You got little knucklehead niggas out there that are waiting to rob people for certain things, especially. And you know, some of the shit that they be offering is like, it's not even the most current shit. It's like they're trying to get rid of that shit, you know, and they mark it down, and then the next day they get a whole new different version, which is, you know, it's sickening. But it's Thanksgiving, man. It's Turkey Day shit, man. You guys gotta do it. So I mean, you got to take the good and the bad with, you know, with the Turkey Day.
Yep.
But yeah, man, all the same, man. Safe holidays with that, you know. And if you're driving, drive early in the morning or at late at night, like I am. You know, well, I have no choice. I have to do it in the afternoon because I'm gonna be on highway for 4 hours, man. So yeah, make sure you load up your music, man. You know, no road rage, none of that shit, man.
Be alert.
Yeah, be alert and be safe because the police will be out there. Them checkpoints, they don't fucking fail, man. They'll pull your ass over, man. You're swerving just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those are my final thoughts. LB had his final thoughts. Your word up. So, we out of here, man. Peace.